Have you ever witnessed a moment that altered the course of an entire family? Let me take you back to the night my world was turned upside down, not by illness, but by betrayal. My name is Theodore Benson. I dedicated my life to building a family and a business empire, brick by brick. But deep down, I always feared that cancer wouldn't be my undoing. No, the real pain would come from the heartbreak of watching my only daughter, Monica, endure more than any woman ever should. What follows is not just a story of loss, but of stunning transformation. The chronicle of how Monica plummeted to her lowest and then soared, touching lives in ways none of us dared imagine. What does it mean to protect your child when your own strength is failing? Sometimes, love is found in the hardest choices, knowing when to step forward and when to quietly create a pathway for hope. I remember the chill in my hospital room on a bleak November Tuesday. The shrill ring at 3:47 a.m. slicing through the darkness. Monica's voice, fragile and thready, drifted through the receiver on the hospital's battered phone. "Daddy, the baby's coming early. Something's wrong." At that moment, I was 3 floors up in the cancer ward, the doctor's prognosis hanging over me like a sentence. 2 months. Maybe 3 if fate was kind. Yet, nothing, not even chemo's agony, hurt like hearing my daughter tremble on the edge of fear. Have you ever felt the world go silent, as if the very air around you holds its breath? Monica pressed her palm against the cold window of her tiny apartment, feeling the weight of her unborn child inside her and the crushing loneliness outside. Rain painted streaks on the glass, blurring the city lights, a canvas of uncertainty and longing. In those quiet hours, Monica's thoughts raced. She remembered her mother's lullabies in her native Spanish, the warm scent of cinnamon bread on childhood mornings. Now, as a grown woman of both Mexican and African-American roots, she wondered who she could trust. Her baby's father, Darren, was gone, his loving words replaced with cold silence and closed doors. Did love always turn so sharp so quickly? Or was she doomed to repeat the heartbreak of previous generations? Monica wiped away tears she didn't want to admit were there. Her father's voice, weak from illness, echoed in her mind. "No storm is forever, my Nina. Hold on. You are not alone." But that night, loneliness pressed against her, unyielding. Imagine your whole future changing in 60 seconds. That's what happened the night Monica finally dialed her father's hospital room. Her breath came in jagged bursts, her voice barely above a whisper. "Dad, please." "I think something's wrong with the baby." Across town, Theodore tried to sit up, his weakened body fighting a losing battle. Outside, the wind rattled the hospital window. Inside, his heart cracked open. For a split second, memories flooded back. Monica's first steps, the shriek of delight at her 5th birthday party, her awkward preteen years. He had missed so much, always working, always trying to provide. Now, all he wanted was to be there for her. "Hold on, I'm here. I promise. I'll call for help," he stammered. Monica gripped the phone as if it were a lifeline. "Don't hang up! Don't—" Her voice broke. In that moment, the gap between them, physical, emotional, even generational, seemed insurmountable. Yet love reached across the miles, stitching hope where there was almost none. Have you ever felt time stop? Hospital waiting rooms have a way of making hours feel like days. The air was thick with unspoken prayers and desperate wishes. Monica's hands trembled on her lap as nurses in blue scrubs bustled past, too busy to notice the storm raging inside her. She looked around, a white mother rocking her toddler, an elderly Korean man gently holding his wife's hand, a trio of anxious teenagers whispering in Russian. In this space, their differences blurred, everybody a little bit scared, all sharing the same silent question. Will my loved one be okay? Theodore, barely able to speak, phoned Monica's best friend, Lisa, a fiery Italian-American with a laugh that could fill a football stadium, and a loyalty that had seen Monica through both heartbreak and hope. "Go to her," he begged, voice sandpaper rough. "She shouldn't be alone." Lisa dropped everything, rushing through rain-slicked streets toward Monica, hope and fear tumbling together in her chest. Some moments steal your breath and give it back, transformed. Monica's labor was long, the pain sharp and hot, the hours melting into a blur of agony and anticipation. But when her daughter finally arrived, tiny and perfect, wailing into the fluorescent lights, the grief and fear vanished for a heartbeat. She was a mother now, a role she'd both prayed for and dreaded. Lisa wept openly beside her, whispering encouragement in heavily accented English and Italian, promising Monica that she and the new baby would never be alone. Nurses fluttered in and out, their faces softening as they saw the tears mixing joy and relief. When Monica held her daughter against her chest, the world felt different. Fragile, yes, but suddenly full of fresh promise. Have you ever been so afraid that even the smallest decisions feel impossible? After the birth, Monica lay in her hospital bed, clutching her daughter close. The fluorescent lights hummed, and every distant voice became a threat. Is my baby healthy? Will they take her away? Can I ever do this alone? The fear was not just for herself, but for this new life. Delicate fingers, searching eyes, warm, milk-scented breath. She remembered stories her mother had told her, of grandmothers crossing borders for a better life, of fathers working 2 jobs just to afford birthdays and Christmases. Monica felt all those sacrifices rushing through her veins, propelling her forward when hope seemed so faint. Worry gnawed at her. Could she provide everything her child deserved? Each heartbeat was a promise, each tear a gentle wish. Sometimes, family isn't about blood. It's about who chooses to stay when things get hard. Lisa was Monica's haven. She was the first to comfort her, to hold the newborn, to crack jokes until Monica almost forgot she was exhausted and scared. Lisa talked with Monica's dad every day, promising him updates, always adding lightness, a touch of irreverence that Monica desperately needed. Late at night, Lisa brewed chamomile tea and told stories of her own wild childhood, of mischievous brothers and fierce motherly love. "You're stronger than you know," Lisa would whisper. "Your little girl will grow up fierce and proud because you're showing her how to fight." Monica needed those words more than she could say. In Lisa's loyalty, Monica found an anchor. When trust is broken, it leaves a jagged mark. Monica thought about Darren almost every hour. She remembered how they laughed together in their favorite taco shop, how his caramel skin glowed in the evening sun, how she believed this child would unite their heritages in hope. But Darren was absent, his promises evaporating with every unanswered call. In her heart, Monica argued with him. "Why didn't you stay? Couldn't you see we needed you?" These questions burned fiercer than the pain of childbirth. The absence of Darren haunted Monica's days and nights, a shadow stretching across every memory. Yet she vowed her daughter would know her roots. Both Mexican, both black, both full of potential and beauty, even if one side was now only a story. Have you ever wished you could do more, even as your body betrays you? Theodore Benson pressed his palm over his chest, fighting the pain that reminded him of his limited time. Cancer was the thief in his night, stealing tomorrows and replacing them with regrets. But his love for Monica and his new granddaughter burned bright, defiant. He called every day, voice scratchy but determined. "Put her on the phone, Monica. Let me hear her cry." Even through the receiver, he felt new purpose, life continuing, bloodlines weaving forward. He told stories from his youth, growing up in Chicago, his own father's deep bass laughter, lessons learned from hardship and triumph. Monica listened, and with every word, she felt the fragile threads of family strengthen, a safety net catching her during the long nights. Isn't it in the loneliest hours that we most crave comfort? Monica sang to her daughter in the stillness, her voice trembling but steady, weaving lullabies from her childhood. Soft Spanish syllables melted into English, promising hope and warmth in a world that sometimes felt cold. Each note was a balm to Monica's fears, a reminder of the lineage of mothers before her, soothing restless children on sleepless nights. The baby nestled closer, thumb curling into Monica's palm. For a moment, Monica forgot about hospital bills, absent fathers, and her father's illness. In the hush, there were only two hearts, one old enough to break, one too new for disappointment, beating together in gentle reassurance. The pain of the day ebbed away, replaced by the fragile peace of shared song. Who stands by your side when the world falls apart? Lisa did more than just run errands. She sat up all night, watching over Monica and her newborn like a protective guardian. She read recipes for old home remedies aloud, convinced that soup and laughter healed all wounds. Sometimes, Lisa would slip into Italian without noticing, calling Monica's baby Piccolina and showering her with stories of strong women who'd stubbornly carved their place in a man's world. She scrubbed bottles, tracked down missing paperwork, and coordinated doctor's visits, all with a ferocious loyalty that Monica found hard to put into words. In those hectic, sleep-deprived hours, Lisa became more than a friend. She became Monica's chosen family. How do you say "I'm proud of you" when time is short and hearts are heavy? The first time Theodore was wheeled into Monica's hospital room, the nurses paused, sensing the frail but electric bond between father and daughter. Monica rose, clutching her baby, eyes shining with both exhaustion and joy. The air buzzed with words unspoken, gratitude, regret, unfiltered love. Monica introduced her infant. "Papa, meet your granddaughter." Theodore's hands shook as he touched the baby's tiny hand, tears streaming down his cheeks. "She has your grandmother's eyes," he whispered, voice thick with memories. Fatherhood now stretched into grandfatherhood, and with it came the hope that stories, names, and love would outlast even the most unforgiving illnesses. We rarely notice the stories unfolding around us, until suddenly we do. Monica began to recognize familiar faces in the hospital corridors. There was Mrs. Kim, who brought spicy porridge for her silent husband. Mr. Daniels, who offered Monica a spare magazine and advice from another generation. The walls, once cold and indifferent, became canvases painted with compassion. She learned fragments of others' burdens, small kindnesses, fierce prayers, little jokes to make the hours pass. Between feedings and checkups, Monica forged silent pacts with these strangers. Together, they became a community, built out of shared vulnerability and the determination to go home with those they loved. The ordinary and unfamiliar converged, offering comfort in unexpected ways. Do you remember the first time you felt truly alone as a parent? The first night at home was unlike anything Monica had ever known. The baby's cries echoed through the tiny apartment, bouncing off bare walls and magnifying Monica's exhaustion. There was no nurse at arm's reach, no call button, only Monica and the new life that depended on her for everything. The city outside thundered, with rain on the window pane and sirens in the night. Monica rocked her daughter, singing lullabies whose words blurred with tears. Fear crept into her mind, mixed with the self-doubt that often follows new mothers home from the hospital. Were her arms strong enough, her love fierce enough to weather the storms ahead? Through it all, Monica whispered promises to her daughter, vowing they would survive together, no matter how rough the world became. Have you ever tried to ignore a stack of bills as it grew taller than your hope? Each day brought new envelopes, hospital charges, utilities, a note about overdue rent. Monica stacked them on the kitchen counter, as if organizing them could lessen their weight. The stress grew, but so did resolve. She reached out to social workers, navigated complex forms, and bargained with landlords in halting Spanglish. Yet, in those same days, tender moments blossomed. Monica found herself writing letters she would one day give her daughter, Notes about heritage, about courage, about the beauty of mixed roots. "You are made of many stories," she wrote, "and you will carry pieces of all the women who came before you." These secret letters kept Monica's spirit whole, tiny proofs that hope, like love, could outgrow even fear. Do you remember the lessons your parents tried to teach you? Those words that echo back just when you need them most? Monica called her father every evening, propping the phone between shoulder and ear, rocking her daughter in rhythm to his slow, reassured voice. Theodore, though weaker, became a wellspring of steady advice. He told stories of his own mother baking bread during hard times, of resilience grown in the cracks of poverty and racism. "We are made strong, not because life is easy, but because we endure," he said. Monica learned as much from his silences as from his words. Each pause was a chance to reflect, to gather strength. Even through a fading phone line, Theodore gifted his daughter the power of memory and perseverance. Sometimes, survival is a matter of celebrating the smallest wins. Monica learned to swaddle her baby tight, to shush her with gentle hums, to decipher the whimpers that meant hunger or fatigue. Each peaceful nap felt like a gift, each baby smile a miracle. Lisa celebrated every milestone with cupcakes from the bakery, her way of finding sunshine on cloudy days. Calls from hospital staff brought good news: weight gain, healthy lungs, strong heartbeats. Monica allowed herself moments of quiet pride, placing sticky notes on the fridge. "Today she laughed. Today I didn't cry." Together, mother and child grew braver and stronger. Each day a little lighter, each night a bit less frightening. Have you ever stepped outside after being sheltered for so long, feeling the world bigger and louder than you remembered? A week after bringing her daughter home, Monica finally summoned the courage to take a walk around the block. The stroller felt heavy and unwieldy. Cars seemed to whoosh by too fast, and every unfamiliar face on the sidewalk sparked fresh anxiety. Yet the sunlight on her daughter's tiny face, the way new leaves trembled in the breeze, the world felt alive, full of small wonders. Some neighbors paused to coo over the baby or offer a quick congratulations. Others hurried past without a glance, preoccupied with their own lives. Monica realized she was part of a larger world again, no longer hidden behind hospital walls or bedroom curtains. Even as exhaustion lingered, this simple step brought a sense of pride and possibility. Have you ever wished you could pause time for just one more conversation? Now that Monica was a mother, she found herself wishing for more hours with her parents, more stories, more guidance. In her mind, she held imaginary conversations with her mother, seeking comfort, and with her father, asking the questions she was always too proud to ask before. Sometimes, in the hush of late evening, Monica would softly speak aloud, as if her mother could hear her across the years and miles. Did you feel this lost? Did you ever doubt yourself? In those quiet moments, her daughter's coos or Theodore's encouraging voicemails formed answers, gentle affirmations, quiet reassurances that flaws and fears were part of life, not failures. Have you ever written a letter you didn't dare send? Between the sleepless nights and rushed mornings, Monica composed a long email to Darren. The words poured out: grief, disappointment, love, anger, and longing for closure, or even just understanding. She wrote about their daughter's birth, about her own loneliness, about wanting him to know the softness of their infant's skin and the beauty of her first smile. But Monica never pressed send. The unsent letter became both a burden and a form of release. Rereading it, Monica slowly began to forgive herself, finding the strength to redefine her own story, whether Darren responded or not. Her identity as a mother was hers alone, even as she mourned the co-parenting partnership that could have been. What does it mean to pass down a legacy? As Monica cradled her baby each night, she told her stories of both sides of the family. She whispered about strong Mexican women who survived storms and crossed borders, about Black ancestors who fought for freedom and dignity. She even dug out old photographs, showing her daughter faces half-remembered. Every Sunday, Monica played her favorite Spanish songs and read African-American poets aloud, their words weaving into lullabies. She made vows to learn more about her roots so she could teach them to her child. In these rituals, Monica found courage. She was determined. Her daughter would know she belonged everywhere and nowhere, and that this was its own type of strength. Have you ever felt like one phone call could change everything? One morning, Monica received a message from the pediatrician. She needed to come to the clinic for an additional examination. The whole day was filled with anxious anticipation. Every minute seemed longer than the previous one, and thoughts were confused in her head. What if? During the appointment, the doctor was attentive and calm, assuring Monica that her daughter was strong and healthy, and all her worries were just a typical mom panic. And yet, leaving the hospital, Monica introduced a new ritual for herself. After each visit, she bought herself and her daughter a small cake, as if celebrating another milestone. Each tiny holiday became a reminder, even among worries, there is a place for joy. Every hero needs his own advisor. For Monica, Lisa became such a support. One evening, when Monica called her friend wearily in tears after a particularly tough day, Lisa arrived with a pot of chicken broth and an album of family photos from her childhood. Together, they looked at old pictures, shared stories about their parents, felt like they were part of something bigger than their current fears. Lisa wasn't just there to help. She encouraged Monica to see difficulties as adventures, reminded her that being a mother is hard for everyone, but that's what makes women stronger. Lessons bloom. Do you have a secret way to cope with fatigue? From Monica, it was a midnight hour of self-care. When her daughter finally fell asleep, Monica would take a hot shower, slather herself in lavender-scented lotion, and forget about her worries for a while. Sometimes, she would open her notebook and write a diary, honest notes about her fears, dreams, mistakes, and small victories of the day. These were the moments when she became just Monica again, and not just someone's daughter or mother. These tiny stops gave her the strength to return to the new day, more patient and kinder to herself. When her father's health deteriorated, their communication became even more valuable. Monica sent her grandfather videos of her granddaughter smiling or making her first sounds. Her father watched the recordings over and over again, smiled, and dictated lullabies that his mother sang in response. Monica cried to these audio messages. In each word, the memory of past generations and the hope that the thread between them would not break, even when her father was no longer physically nearby. She understood that the most important legacy she could leave her child was a sense of belonging and love. Have you ever had a morning like this that suddenly fills your soul with new hope? One day, when the long, unseen, sunny weather arrived, Monica raised the blinds, letting in light that seemed to wash the walls of fatigue and anxiety. Her daughter squinted in surprise and laughed for the first time. This ringing chuckle filled the apartment with music that Monica will want to remember for the rest of her life. At that moment, Monica realized she and her daughter are no longer just surviving. They are starting to learn to be happy. From that day on, she began to write down short, joyful moments in a separate notebook, so that one day, when difficult times come, she could reread and remember. Even the hardest days consist of many small discoveries and reasons for gratitude. Sometimes, changes come through the most ordinary events. Monica went with her daughter to the nearest store for diapers and fruit. At the shelf with baby food, a middle-aged woman suddenly called out to her, with a warm smile and a recognizable softness in her voice. "The first months are the hardest," she said confidently. "My children are already grown up, but I still remember the night rocking and swaddling like it was yesterday." They started talking. The stranger turned out to be a former nurse. She shared advice, and most importantly, her stories about motherhood, losses, victories, and joy. Monica walked home with a heavy bag, but with a lighter heart. It turned out that even in the hustle and bustle of the city, there are people who will support and simply understand. There are evenings when you want to stop time. Monica put her daughter to bed, looked out onto the small balcony. The city was twinkling with lights. The wind brought the smells of late spring. She wrapped herself in a blanket and made herself tea with lemon. For the first time in a long time, allowing herself not to rush anywhere. At such moments, the woman reflected on the path she had already taken, on courage, on loss, and incredible tenderness for the little creature sleeping behind her back. The stars seemed close, and the sunny day, the store meeting, and the evening silence formed a new puzzle of her life, in which it was no longer so scary to be alone. All large families once began with small traditions. Monica decided that once a week she and her daughter would arrange their own feast of taste. On this day, they tried new dishes together. First, mashed potatoes and cookies for the baby, and Monica something unusual for herself. She invited Lisa, or called her dad, discussed culinary mistakes and successes, recalled family recipes of two cultures. Through food, laughter, even through resentment over a burnt omelet, they built their walls of home, not fencing themselves off from the world, but accepting it with gratitude. The evening came when Monica felt that she finally needed to say out loud everything that hurt inside. She called her dad. They were silent for a long time, listening to each other's breathing. Then Monica told how sometimes it was scary to be alone, how she missed her mother, how she was afraid of making mistakes and not giving her daughter the love she needed. Theodore answered quietly but confidently, shared stories about his fears in his youth, about how loneliness is not a vice, but an opportunity to learn to choose yourself. He repeated, "You are already the best parent for your daughter. You are learning on the go, just like we once learned." This conversation, for the first time in a long time, gave Monica the opportunity to cry without shame and to feel that there is support, even at a distance. Sometimes, the evening turned into a small holiday of gratitude. Monica invited Lisa to dinner, put the dishes in 2 rows, for herself, her friend, and her daughter. At the table, they recalled their favorite childhood dishes, discussed some ridiculous everyday problems, and laughed so tiredly that they forgot about the weight of their new responsibilities. The daughter reached for Monica's hands and Lisa's earrings. The whole room was filled with the feeling of a real family, gathered not by blood, but by choice. On such days, Monica understood. Support sometimes comes in the most unexpected forms, and friends can be loved as deeply as relatives. One night, Monica discovered peace inside herself, like a quiet harbor. No calls, guests, letters, just her and the child in a dark room. For the first time, she did not try to fill this silence with the sounds of TV series or social networks, but allowed her thoughts to simply be. Monica remembered the phrase of her mother's favorite, "Strong women listen to their fears, but do not live by them." Her loneliness became not an emptiness, but a space for growing up, creative thoughts, plans. Perhaps after leaving maternity leave, she will try to write a book about women's resilience, for her daughter, for herself, for everyone who is afraid of being alone. And then what Monica had been waiting for happened. One morning, the little girl managed to pronounce her first word, "Mama." The voice was timid and quiet, but for Monica, it sounded louder than any applause. At that moment, it seemed to her that all the accumulated fear had dissolved, giving way to joy, pride, gratitude. She cuddled her daughter, repeating this simple word until they both burst out laughing. This became a new starting point. Monica finally believed that she could give her daughter everything she had, and even more. The morning came when Monica woke up for the first time without a feeling of anxiety. Instead of the usual fatigue, she felt the desire to live. Outside the window, the sun barely touched the curtains, pouring golden light into the apartment. The baby no longer cried in the mornings, but quietly babbled her new words. Monica made breakfast, put on her favorite music, and for the first time in a long time, allowed herself to just be happy. At that moment, Monica wrote a short letter to herself. I went through fear, loneliness, loss. I learned to ask for help and give love. My family is me, my daughter, my friends, my memories. I am not alone, even when it seems otherwise. And now, in each new day, there is my own dawn. Monica hugged her daughter tightly, looked out the window, smiled at the world. There were many new worries, joys, discoveries ahead, but she already knew. Now she will succeed.